What is good, everyone? So today I'm going to show you how I created this email sign up form, aka you can call this a pop-up modal. So pretty much when I go over here to the get started button, click on this, boom, we got the little sign up form right here. And also I'm going to show you how to validate this. So pretty much when I click on the sign up button, it's going to say, hey, you're missing some things. So let's go ahead and let's just fill this out and I'll show you what happens. So just type in name and then be like, let's just got right here. And the thing is too, when I go ahead and try to sign up before I filled out the last two forms or input fields, they're going to turn green, but it's going to tell me I need to put the password. So let's just come out with a password here and watch this. So make sure I type that in where I can't see. So I put another character at the end to make sure that it's not the same. And then if I hit sign up again, it's going to say the passwords do not match. And then we just go and now they match and now it turns green. And then also when I click on the X button here, it closes out the pop-up modal. And also when I go to get started and I click anywhere outside of this container right here, so like on the side here, it also gets closed down as well. So if you want to learn how I did this, then definitely watch the video all the way to the very end. And if this is your first time on my channel, I'm essentially documenting myself learning how to code, and I'm doing it by coding and then teaching you what I'm learning so you can go out there and learn together. So this is actually a part 3 series that I just ended up doing randomly, but pretty much for this tutorial, you can watch this from right now from scratch and make this entire thing like this. But if you did want to know how I created this navbar up here, or also this little section on this home page, then I will have the links to that tutorial down in the description below in case you want to watch the part 1 and part 2. And also last thing I forgot to show you before we get started is when I click on get started and then I go and actually minimize, let me refresh the page really quick so you can see it. But click get started, it's also mobile responsive too. So once I get down to the tablet sizing, the image goes away, and then I'll scroll in even more and you can see that it hits like this, and then we can sign up and do the same thing again with the like the validation stuff. So let me just fill this out really quick so you can see how it looks like on mobile, and then pretty much that's what we're going to be making for today. So sign up here, boom, and then going back, setting it out like that. So without further ado, let's start coding. All right, so here I am on VS Code. And like I said, I'm building upon the previous tutorial videos from part 1 and part 2. So in case you do not want to create that, you just want to make the email pop up, don't worry, I'll show you what you need to do. Technically all you have to do is make a button. But if you were following along and you already have all this created, this is basically where we're at right now. And then all happens when I click on get started, nothing happens because we haven't coded anything. So basically, in case you just found this video randomly and you haven't seen the previous videos, all you have to do is technically, let me go ahead and let me delete this, show you. Technically, all you need to do is go up here, create a new file. And I'm just gonna name this index1.html, and then pretty much shift exclamation mark, press tab, and then literally copy it right here. Just make a button. So this is the button right here. So you can just copy this and just type button and make it with a class main-btn, and then have the href right here, and you're technically will be on the same page. Your screen will look different as far as aesthetics, but you'll be able to do everything that we're doing right now. But I'm gonna go ahead and delete this page because I don't need this for this tutorial. And now let's go ahead and go back to the actual original index.html file here. So let's just pretend the top part's right there, and let's just go right here and we command B. So first things first is I want to create our modal. So let's go ahead, I'm gonna press period or dots, then type in modal. And since I have emit, it automatically will go once I press tab, and you'll see what I mean in just a second. And then I'm gonna do hashtag because I want an ID, and I'm gonna do modal, well actually I'm gonna do email dash modal. And then when I press tab, now you can see it created the class and the ID. And then I'm gonna hit enter. So now we're within this div, and I'm gonna go ahead and create the div called Modal Content. So I'm gonna do dot modal dash content. I'm gonna press tab here, and then press enter. And next I'm gonna create is the X button, the close button. So I'm just gonna keep this as a span. and I'm gonna do dot close dash btn, and then press tab. And then within this, I'm gonna do a special thing with the and sign right here. So that's Shift 7 on your keyboard. And then I'm gonna type in times and then a semicolon. And if you did it properly, it should change the colors. And now let's hit enter out of that span. And let's go ahead and create the left section of the modal. So that's where with the image that you saw in the background. So basically I'm gonna go class, and I'm gonna do modal dash content, and this is going to be left. And then I'm gonna hit tab and then press enter. And now we're going to need the image. So this pretty much go in, type in img, and then press tab here. And now currently we do not have an image. So let me show you how to get that. So in case you already saw from the previous video, basically I went to this website undraw.co, and then when you go on here, it should be pretty much you click return now, browse now, and then literally you can search for anything. So the colors that I'm going to be searching for is going to be I'm gonna have on my style section. So if you first time, you probably don't have this, but basically copy down this color code. So once you're on this Undraw website, click on the color box right here. And if you're not on Movi, you probably be like this. And then once you click on this, it'll let you change the color right there. So boom, now it's red. And then I'm hit on the search and just type in like I think I type in like rocket or something. Go right here, and looks like, yeah, it doesn't look like it's showing up on that one. So let's try space maybe. Again, this picture literally could be whatever you want it to be, but I guess for consistency, we'll use this one right here. So to the moon. I'm gonna click on this and download SVG for your projects. And now I'm gonna go here to show folder or show in Finder. And now I have the folders open. So pretty much what we need to do, if you haven't already, create an images folder. So in case you're, again, this is the first time watching this, click on the second one, new folder, and basically just type in images, and then you would be able to create the folder. So I already have that, so I'm gonna delete this. And I'm gonna have my previous images one right here. I'm gonna open this. And then basically what I'm gonna do is click on the image that we just downloaded and drag it inside of here. And if you did it properly, it will look like this crazy amount of coloring text. And all you have to do is hover over it, right click, and then click on rename. And let's just call this pic2. And then hit enter, and it should be pic2.svg. And let me exit off this. And now let's go back to the index.html. Let me bring back the nav right here. And let's exit off this. And let's go into the src, and literally we can type in images and then slash, and then if it pops up, you can see pic2.svg. So you can do pic2.svg, or you can just click on it and then hit save. And now let's go ahead and add the next thing right here. So after the image content, click outside of the left div. So now we're in here, and then we're gonna create the model content. Right, so modal, however you want to say it, modal content, right. Then I'm gonna go ahead and press tab right there, press enter, and now let's go and create the actual form. So I'm gonna go form, and then I'm gonna do dot modal dash form, and I'm gonna have the ID, so hashtag form, and I'm gonna press tab. And for the action, just put a slash here, and then for the method, just put get for now. It's not actually going to submit anywhere, so it doesn't really matter, but we'll just do this for now. And then let me go out like this so you can see it better. So right now your form, let me expand this so you can see it on one line. Why can't I? Yeah, here we go. All right, so now we're at the form right there. So now click inside of the form and hit enter. I'm going to enter again, so I'm inside the form now. And now let's go ahead and start creating our inputs. So first thing we want to do is create the h1 tag. So h1, press tab. I'm going to say get started with us today. Again, this is just like random filler text. And let's say create your account by filling out the information below. Right now, let's go outside of the h1, press enter. And then I'm going to go ahead and create the div that's going to hold all of the inputs and the error messages in there. So it's going to call this form validation. So form, so dot form dash va validation, and then press tab and enter. And now we're going to create our input. So this is the actual thing that you're typing into when you're entering your name or email or password. So basically inputs dot modal dot input. So this is the class, and then we're going to do ID, and I'm going to do name for the first one, and then press tab. So now we need to keep the type as text, but one thing at the here I want to add is the name. I want to set it equal to name, and then we're going to have placeholder, and I'm going to set that equal to enter your name. Okay, and now let's press enter, and then I'm just have a p tag that just says error message, and that's just for now. This is what update automatically once we start coding. So now what we're gonna do is I want to basically do this 3 more times. So I'm just gonna copy this and then paste it once. So that's the email, paste it another, that's the password, and then again that's the password confirm. So now let's go ahead and select the second div right here. Let's change the type to email, change the let's see, ID, let's change that to email, change the name to email, and then change the placeholder to enter your email. And now let's rinse and repeat for the third one, and basically this is going to be password. So password here, ID, I'm going to change that to password, and then name, I'm going to change this to password. And then the same thing for the bottom, we're going to go ahead and change the type to password, and then ID, we're going to change this to password dash confirm. And then for the name, I'm just going to change this to password. And then last would be to enter your, or let's change this to confirm, let's see, yeah, confirm your password. And I forgot to change the placeholder above, so let's say enter your password. And let's hit Command S and save it, just in case you guys messed up anything, you don't want to lose this. And so far, this is the current setup we have here. And then last thing we're going to do for the HTML, we're almost done, is go outside of the last form validation div, but you're still inside of the form, so make sure you're still inside of it. And we're going to do input, and we're going to do dot modal dash input dash btn, which is the button, and then hit tab. And now for the type, I want this to be submit, and then for the value, we can just say like sign up, and then press enter. And then the last thing will be the like little text at the bottom with the account thing. So type in, I'm just gonna do span, and then dot modal dash input dash login, press tab. And then within this span, I want it to say already have an account question mark login. And then we're gonna do the greater, or no, the less than sign, the A, and then href equals quotes, and then just put a hashtag, quotes again, then closing tag, and that should automatically have the A closing tag created, and then just put in here. And then make sure at login you have a space, so boom, okay, with next to A, and then let's hit save. Alright, so now we have just completed the HTML. Now let's go ahead and create a CSS file so we can make this thing look clean and nice. So I'm going to go ahead and open this again. I'm going to create one called, make sure you click on this outside section first. I'm just going to call this modal.css. Press enter. And now let's go for the fun part. So let's go ahead and go to modal. And if I check, let me see. Right now, if we open up our website, this is basically what we have created in terms of the index HTML. So right now you can see it looks really ugly, and you're probably like, what's going on? So let's go ahead and style this up, make it look clean, and get everything working out. So the first thing I'm going to do is have the root. So roots, and then basically we're going to have a color. So this is just a way to make it easier to change colors across the site. So I'm going to dash air color, and then colon. I'm gonna use this color right here. It's just basically a red, but I'll just have this one for my example. So hashtag F00, and then E0E, semicolon, and then dash dash valid color, colon, hashtag 0ADD0A, and it should be a green right there. And I do have other colors in terms of here on my style, so in case we run into it, I'll just go back to that and you can just copy those, but pretty much let's go with that for now. And now let's target the actual modal. So let's go dot modal class right here. So let me spell that right. Curly brackets, press enter. And one thing too is we got to actually import this. So since I already have the style.css up here, if you're just starting out from scratch the first video, you're gonna have to type in link, and again we're in the head tag of the HTML, so type in link, make sure link, and then press tab, and then you have to type in modal.css to make sure the CSS works. But since I already have a style.css file, and if you're following along from the previous tutorials, what we're gonna do is we're gonna import this into our style.css. So you can see I already did it for the second video. So just import, I'm gonna do URL and just modal.css. And this makes it to where if you have like a million CSS files, you won't have it like just stacked up like here. It's all just in like one thing. So that just makes it cleaner for me. So make sure you have that in there. So now let's go back to the modal.css and let's start creating it. So let's do position, and let's do let's see, position fixed, and then I'm gonna have a Z index of 1, so making sure it's above, and then I'm gonna have left of 0, top is 0. I want the width to be 100%, and then I want the height to be 100%, and then I want the overflow, put that at auto, and then we want the background color. Now this one I'm gonna be RGBA parentheses, then 0, so 0, 0, comma, and then opacity, I want it to be 0.5. So basically like black, the opacity of 0.5. And then go down and let's hit, so before I actually do that, let me show you what's currently going on. So you can see here, that's the background right now, and it's like a darkish black part right there. Now let's go ahead and put display none for right now because we don't want that to be showing yet. And then let's go to .modal-content, curly brackets, and let's do background. And for this, we're just gonna do hashtag F4, F4, F4. And then for the margin, I want that to be 10%, top, bottom, and then auto. And then let's go ahead and do a width of 60%. So right now you can't see what's going on, but technically this would be like the square part here. So let's go ahead and create a, let's do box shadow, colon, 0, 5 pixels, 8 pixels, 0, RGBA, and then parentheses, and let's just do 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.2, and then out of that parentheses press a comma, and then let's do 0, 7 pixels, 20 pixels, 0, RGBA, parentheses, 0, 0, 0, 0.2, and then semicolon. Now let's actually go and let me edit the JavaScript really quick so that way you can see what's going on, because right now you can't tell what's going on. So again, so we just created this right here. So let me put a comma, put this modal. But now I need to target the button that I have up here, which is the button on the screen here. So in case you started the first video, just use whatever button you created. And we're gonna have an app.js. So basically make a new file and name it app.js or whatever.js. So I'm gonna click on this and let's go and hit enter. So this is from previous videos, so don't worry about this right now. But pretty much, let's go ahead and let's just call this modal items. Now here we're gonna do const modal. We're gonna put equal to document dot get element by ID, and then parentheses. So now we're targeting this, and I want it to be email dash modal. So that is essentially, if we go back, that's the entire container the modal is, which is the entire screen with the width of 100% and height of 100%. And then you'll see eventually once we have the JavaScript added, let's do another const. I'm gonna do open btn equal to document dot query selector, and this is going to target the main dash btn, which is the button that we had in the previous tutorial, or in case this for you, if your first time, this is your button that you just made with the class btn. So aka is this button right here. And let's go ahead and hit enter again, and let's do const close btn, which equals to document dot query selector parentheses and dot close dash btn. And now let's go ahead and let's add the, let's see, / click events. So basically open btn, which is this one right here. We're targeting that, and then we're going to do an add event listener. And what happens here is when we put click, so quotes click, comma, I'm gonna use arrow function just to little switch it up, but basically it's the equivalent to just doing function parentheses. But now let's just do parentheses, save some code. So parentheses, and let me add the other parentheses on the edge just in case so I don't forget. And then hit enter, the greater sign, arrow, then the curly brackets, hit enter. And now let's do modal dot style dot display equal to block. And now let's semicolon here. Let's do close btn. So now we're gonna close it whenever we hit the X button. Add event listener, parentheses, quotes, click, comma, parentheses again. I don't know, yes, you can't see that. Equals, greater sign, so the arrow, and then the curly brackets, enter, and then we're gonna do modal dot style dot display equals to none. Okay, so that's making it disappear. Let me just consistency. Then last thing, we're gonna target the window, so in case when you click outside of it, it'll go away. So window dot add event listener of click, comma, and parentheses, we're gonna put E, so that's we're targeting now, and then equal sign, greater than symbol, curly brackets, and then we're gonna say if E dot target, so meaning if we click outside of the modal container, is equal to modal. So not actually the modal container, my bad, the modal content container. Actual modal is the entire site. So if we click anywhere on that modal, we're gonna do the curly brackets, and we're gonna say modal dot display, or my bad, modal dot style dot display is equal to none. So hit save here, and let's see if anything pops up. So now you can see it looks ugly, but we got something popping up, and then click outside of it. So let me scroll out. So right now it looks really weird, but basically the modal content, that's the square. So if we go back to our index.html, it's the second div we started. So it's this entire thing. But then the modal is the actual outside part, which is basically anything that's dark. So boom, click here, and now you can see that. And if you notice too, I think looks like the text, the white text is showing. So let me see if I can change that on maybe put the z-index to like 10, see if that change. Yeah, so put z-index on the modal CS to 10, because if you are following off in the previous tutorials, because I believe I had the a tag of the z-index too. But basically, we'll scroll this up now. So now you can see we're actually editing this part. So the JavaScript works fine here. So we click it, looks like this. So now all I have to do is add the CSS, and then I'll show you guys the form validation stuff in just a second. Let's go and check in. So now we're here. Let's position, make this relative, and then let's do border radius. So I want the thing to be curved on the outside slightly. Let's go 3 pixels, not too much noticeable. And let's do a minimum height. So you want the minimum height because when you shrink with the console up, like right now, let me see if I can show you. Let's see. So right now, since it's not mobile response, you can't really tell, but you'll notice it once you play around with it at the end, once you have everything done. But I'm gonna do 500 pixels. And that way, so when you scroll it up, it doesn't shrink, it stays the same. Because if you don't, it's gonna shrink with it, it's gonna look really weird. And then also display, let's do grid. And then let's do grid, template, columns. I'm gonna do 1FR, 1FR. So now this is basically keeping it on left modal and then right modal like this. So now if I show you, you can see it's basically like this whole, the image is too big so we can mess with the image later, but basically now you can see the little rectangle part. So that's essentially the left modal and then the right modal is the image. But since we got this like thing, I have to shrink this first so you'll be able to see it better. So let me hit X. Actually, I think the image is on the left side. Yeah. So let's go here now. Let's make the close. Actually, let's do the close BTN in a second. Let me do a modal dash content dash left curly brackets, and let's do I have this background, a linear gradient, so it's quite long. So let me type it in background, and I want the linear dash gradient to be 90 degrees, comma. I actually copied this from this website, but since I already have it here, just type in RGBA 27, 74, 70, comma 1, and then outside of this parentheses I have 0%, and then comma again, and then we have RGBA parentheses 236, comma 43, comma 0, comma 1. And why can't you see my screen? Hold up. VS Code, give me a sec. So 1, and then that's the parentheses there. And then outside that parentheses, press space, 100%, comma, save. And now we have this thing here. So let me go ahead and let me change the modal image first because it's going to drive me crazy right now. So modal dash image, curly brackets, so width. Let's make this thing 80%. Height, 80%. Position, I want this to be absolute. And then I want the top to be 50%. Left to be 50%. So right now, if we scroll it out, image is still massive. You can see that. And basically, let me go back. Want to transform, translate, and make it negative 50%, comma, negative 50%. And that way, yeah, I don't know why it's 2 parentheses here. This way I'll center it. And let's do modal content form. So modal dash content dash right, curly brackets. And we're gonna do border radius, and we're gonna have it 0, 3 pixels, 3 pixels, 0, and then position, my bad, relative. And then let's go back up to the modal content left, and let's make this, let's just copy exactly what we had for the first part. So copy that in, and boom. And now let's see what we got going on right now. So zoom out here. This is what we currently have right now. So let me go back and let me see. Looks like I must have messed up on the grid somewhere because right now it's not formed in the place that I want it to be. So let me just double check 1 second. All right, so I realized why it looks so weird is because we forgot to ID the image, because I was like wondering why the image is not so shrinking. So if I go back to the index.html file, forgot to add the ID equals modal-image, which is really important because right now we have no idea what's going on. So I scrolled back out. So it currently looks like this, and then the one thing is we need to put this X button over here. That way this will shift, because right now it looks really weird. So let's go over here and let's go under main content or modal content. Then we type in dot close dash btn curly brackets. I'm gonna do position absolute. I'm gonna do top 2%, and then I'm gonna do right 3%, and then font size 1.5 rem, and 1 rem is essentially defaulted at 16 pixels, so that's basically 1.5 times 16, and the index will be 1. So now if we save this, now you can start to see it looks much better, because earlier I forgot the ID here, and then this simply shifted over here. So now we pretty much need to style the form and then the validation, and we're pretty much set to go. So let's go over here and let's make sure the button, let me do a button hover first quick. So close dash btn curly brackets, and actually no, let's do cursor pointer color var dash dash bright red semicolon, and then that again, if you don't have it, is on the .css file. So basically it's hashtag F942-3D. So if you did want to add that to your root up here, you could, or just literally just make it red, really doesn't matter. And transition, let me just add 0.2 s ease out, and I should put hashtag or semicolon and hover here. And then now we go, hover over it, turns red. Alright, so now let's start going on with the form. So let's see. Under this modal right, let's do modal dash form, curly brackets, and let's do position absolutes, and let's do top 50%, one left to be 50%. Transform colon translates. So we're gonna center this now. So 50%, comma 50%. I don't know why I keep adding the extra parentheses. So basically like this, and then width, I want this to be 90% of the right model container or modal container, and let's do height 90%. Want this to now, so if I save it, you can see it right now how it's currently looking. And now let me do a display flex direction column, justify content center, and then align items center. So now if we go over here, you can see how it currently looks like this. So now it's within this box, looks much cleaner. Now we just gotta change the sizing of the fonts and everything, and then increase the input width of it. So let's go enter here, and let's do dot modal dash form. And now we're gonna target the H1, which was that ginormous text above it. And let's do font size 1 rem, and let's do text align. Let's do starts, and then let's do width 80%, and then I just want the margin dash bottom to be 1 rem. Now if we save this, you can see it is much smaller, which is why I like it like this. And then let's go ahead and we can create the form validation now. So that's basically the like red and green that you saw on the air. So again, this would be the divs. Where's it at? Right here, where it has the inputs and everything inside of it. So right now, let's do form dash validation. Let me say validate. Yeah, make sure I spell that right. Curly brackets, enter. Let's do margin dash bottom 0.5 rem. Let's do width of 80%. Let me see. Open this up. And you can see that the width now is 80, but the input part inside of it isn't. So let's actually see if I can edit the input first. That way it may be a little better to see it. So modal dash input. So now this is the actual form that you type into. Display block. Padding left 0.5 rem. Outline. So you want that little like blue like outline on it, none. So outline none. Border radius will be 2 pixels. Border is going to be none. Height of it will be 2 rem, and then width will be 100% of its container. And then last but not least, box shadow. This is just extra effects. Wanted to add 1 pixel, 1 pixel, 1 pixel. RGBA of 0, comma, let's see, comma 0, comma 0.05. I want to be like super slight. Alright, yeah, I must put a comma, so period. So yeah, 0, comma 0, comma 0, comma 0.05. Semicolon. Hit save. Let's take a look. Now it's looking much cleaner now. We're almost there, guys. And then let's go back up to the actually let's create the since we're already on the modal input, let's do modal dash input, and we're gonna target the placeholder. So that's the placeholder text that we had, like enter your email, enter your name, and this is the way you actually color the text here. I'm gonna do light gray, which if you don't have the previous tutorials, it's basically, where's that? Actually, I think did I create this? Hold on, let me go back. Yeah, I might have to create this. Let me find the hex code for you. So yeah, so I'm gonna go to my style CSS and do this. So let's go and just do dash light gray colon hashtag, and I just put b1 comma. As you can see, it's like a lightish gray, so I'm gonna save that. So again, if you don't have style CSS, just go up to your root and just create that. So now we have the light gray up here, and yeah, that should be good for the placeholder. So let's go back. Alright, so let's go and let's edit the button now. So let's go ahead and let's do modal dash input dash btn. So now we're adding the button, and I want this to be width of 80%, height to be 2 rem, border radius, I want that to be 2 pixels, background color to be var, and I got bright red. So that's on my root, which basically, again, the hex code for bright red is F9423D. So you want to copy that and add that to your root if you don't have it. And then outline is none. Border is none. Color, this one is var. I just have white, which literally you can just do hashtag FFF, which is the same thing, or just put color white. And then basically font size is 1 rem. So now we can check it out. Looks like this. So now let's add the hover effect now. Modal dash input dash btn colon hover. Curly brackets. Now let's do cursor pointer. And then let's do background color. I want this to be var dash dash light blue, which I believe I might have to create that one too. Actually, I already have it. So again, it's hashtag 337AF1. That's light blue. So that's what I have here. So you can add that to your root directory, and then transition will be transition all 0.4s ease out. Now if we go to it, you can see that it's curling like that. So now let's mess with the actual login form now. So let's go here. Let's do modal dash input dash login, and we can show back on the index of HTML. Yeah, so that is the text down here. So we already have an account, log in here. So that's what we're targeting right now. So basically, let's just put font size 0.8 rem, margin top 1 rem, color var, let me see, dash light gray. We can just do any gray, literally doesn't matter. And then 80% for the width. And then we're gonna do text align center. All right, so let me see how that looks. Clone it. So you can see it's down here. This one we're editing right here. So now let me go back here. And let's go and do .modal dash input dash login a, which was the here word. Let's do text decoration. Let's do none. Color var dash bright red, and then just do font weight of 600 so it's like bolded. And now you can see it turned red, and we have the login here. So now we need to mess around with this error message thing. So let's go back up to the form validation section. So up here, so basically what I want to do is do form dash validation dot error. So this is what we're going to be adding in JavaScript, but basically I want this to have margin bottom 1.5 rem, position relative, border, I want this to be 1 pixel solid, and then I have the var dash error color, which I'll have to create in just a second. And let's do border radius of 2 pixels. So let's go up here to the top, and actually I already have it created, my bad. So air color is this one again. So now let's go down to form validation, and now let's hit enter, and let's do form dash validation dot valid. So if it works, then it'll be essentially green. So let's do margin dash bottom 0.5 rem, position relative, border 1 pixel solid, and then let's do var dash valid color, and then border dash radius of 2 pixels. Let's save this. And yeah, you can't see it right now, but eventually we'll get to it. And let's do form dash validation of the p tag now, which was the error message word. Let's do font size. I want this to be 0.7 rem. I want to do margin dash top 0.5 rem, and let's do color var parentheses dash, and I want that to be the air color, so I want it to be red. Then position absolute, and let's do top 1.8 rem, and then display to be, well, technically let me show you right now what's going on. Click it, get started, and technically you can't see it because it's technically it's gone, but we'll just put display, let me see, display none. But eventually when we re-add the JavaScript, it'll pop back up and you'll see what's going on. And then last thing we need to do is the error, basically. So dot form dash validation dot error of p, and I want it to be display block. Alright, so we save this. So now you can see the error messages are gone. The form's looking pretty clean now, and nothing's really happening yet because we haven't added any JavaScript. But basically that's what we got going on here. So let's go back here, and before we continue with the JavaScript, let's add the mobile responsiveness, the media queries. And this one's really simple. So just add media, let's do screen, and let's do max width of 768 pixels, curly brackets, and let's do modal dash content dash left, curly brackets here, and display none. So that is the image. And then now let's do modal dash content, and let's do a grid template column. Want it to be auto, so everything centers now. Margin to be 15% auto as well. And then let's do a width of 70% and then a height of 75%. And then go out of this one and we'll make another one for the smaller screen size. So media screen and max width of 580 pixels. And we got dot modal dash content. Margin is 20% auto. Width is 90%. And then the height is 80%. So let's see. We get started. You can see it looks like this now. And then we scroll out. So basically that media query, when we get to the 768 pixels, the left image section is going to disappear right there. Width and stuff still 70-ish% height and everything, and then basically it will shrink as the screen goes lower. Alright, so this should be, I think, all these CSS we have right now. So now let's get into the fun stuff, aka the JavaScript. So let's go ahead and get onto it. So this is going to be quite interesting one. So let's go and start contact. Let's see. Let's do form validation. And let's target the forms now. So let's do const form, and I'm just naming a form for this example. I'm gonna put document.get element by ID parentheses, and we're gonna target, guess what, the form. So again, in case you're new to this, basically it's right there. Where's it at? ID form. So we're targeting the entire form part right now. Let me actually off some of this stuff here. And we want this for the name, email, password, and then the password confirm. So basically just go here and let me change this to name. Let's see here. This one will be, well, no, this will be email. This one's gonna be password, and this one will be password confirm. So I'm doing camel casing, so it's each new word basically a capital letter. And that's for name. Let's do name. The ID for this one was email. Password is password, and then this one was password dash confirm. So just again to show you what we're targeting now each inputs ID is name for the name, ID for the input is email, password, and then password confirm. Let's go back here. And now let's go ahead and let's do the show error message now. So show error message. And basically we're going to create a function. My name is show error. It's going to take in two parameters. So inputs message, curly braces, hit enter. And now I want to target the form validation. I'm going to create a constant called form validation, put enter, and we're going to target the input and dot parent element. So basically the parent of the input tag is what we're targeting. So in that case, input tag is this, and the parent is the form validation, which is right here, that div right there. So we got that. And now what I wanted to do is I want to do form validation. So we're targeting it now. Dot class name. And I want this set equal to the form validation class. So form dash validation, which was, again, it's literally this divs class right here. So this exact class we're targeting. And then I want to add onto it the error class. So error. And then I'm gonna hit semicolon, and then next under that we're going to do const error message, and we're equal this to form validation. So again, we're still targeting the div form validation, except now we have query selector. We're targeting the p tag now, which is the, in this div we're targeting form validation, and then we're targeting the error message, which is the p tag right now. And let's go and semicolon this, and I want this to say error message, and I want the inner text to equal the message. And let's see, save this. So right now nothing's happening because we haven't created anything for the sign up button yet. So let's go ahead and add that stuff now. So let's go here and do event listeners, and I'm gonna go, let me just scroll this up, do form. So now we're targeting the form, which again was right here, which is form dots add event listener, parentheses, we're gonna target the submit this time. So quote submit, comma, space, and then parentheses to do an error function, put E. So we're targeting the E right there with the arrow function, and then curly brackets. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna do E dot prevent default, because if you've noticed, before I save it, whenever I hit submit, it just disappears. So when I do this, save this, go here now, it stops it. Now we're stuck here like this. So now what we need to do is create the error messages now. So when we click it, it's gonna tell us like this needs this many characters, or this needs this. So here I'm gonna create this function called check required, and we're calling it right now. So we do parentheses, then we're making an array so we don't have to repeat ourselves. So we do name, email, password, and then password confirm. And there's a much different way to do this, like if and else statements, super simple, but this way it just makes it easier with less code. And let's go here and create comma or semicolon, and let's do check. Actually, let's do require first. So let's go here and let's do, let's see, check required fields. Go up, basically creating a function. Let's do check required parentheses. I'm gonna do just, this is the input of the array that we just created, and then curly brackets. So for the input array dot for each. So now we're looping through the array. We have the function, and we'll pass in the inputs, curly brackets, and now we're gonna say if input dot value, and then trim just creates the white space, so in case someone has spaces before, it will go away. And then we'll do equals empty, meaning nothing is typed. We want to show error, and then we want to have the input comma, and then we're gonna have a backtick. Well, technically we can just say right now, let's do error for right now. Let's see. So now you can see it just says error right now here. So it's nothing nothing like specific, but basically that's what we're doing here, because it's going back to the show error function which we created up here, and it's just displaying just literally error. So what we're gonna do is create something to where it'll display something specific to each input tab. So click on the backticks. We'll do template literal, so a $, curly braces. We're gonna call this get field name, and then parentheses. We're gonna target the input here, and now go out of the curly braces, but we're still inside the backticks, and let's just put is required, and then put the semicolon. And right now, since we don't have the get field name created, you're not gonna see anything. Let's go else and just do show valid, which is another function we're gonna create, and then just put input here. So now let's go here and create the show valid message. So basically we have function show valid, parentheses, input, curly brackets, and let's do const. And again, technically it's the same thing as the show errors. We can just copy this part, and then we're just gonna change some stuff in here. So we're gonna change this to valid instead. All right, so now we have the show valid function created. And let's go ahead and create the field name. So field name, basically, let's just put here get field name. Let's do function get field, field name here, parentheses inputs, and we're gonna return the inputs dot name, which is what we did in the very beginning with the index HTML, which is right here. And we're naming it name. You could target ID or like type, but the problem is when you do that, when you get down to like password confirm, you're gonna target, it's gonna say like password dash confirm is required, and it just looks weird. So that's why we did name. So we name everything individually, email, name, password, and since it's the same here, you can see it like that. So now input that name dot the character at, and starting at the first position, which is 0, and then we're gonna make sure that the first letter of that is uppercase. So right now, let's see if I go through this, it's gonna say like one letter because we just have literally the first letter of the names. So we're gonna have to concatenate this. So plus input dot name, and we're gonna slice it, and we're gonna start at number, well, actually slice parentheses, we're gonna start at the second letter. So basically just took off the first one, and now we can see name is required, email is required, password, blah blah blah. So now we're almost getting there, close. Now we're just gonna have to add the additional steps to showcase. So let's see the character lengths and everything to make sure that it's valid. So right now when I type stuff, you can see it's green, but you can see that the email is still there. And then here, let me actually just fill it out. So right now it's just going green because we don't have any sort of like rules to prevent it from saying. So like right now this is still gonna be green. So let's go ahead and add that additional stuff. Let's see, I'm gonna do this under the required here. We'll create another function called checking the input length. So let's do check input length, which is basically what you're typing in. So let's say function check length, and we're gonna have an input. We're gonna have the minimum characters, and then we're gonna have a maximum characters. And within this, we're gonna do if input dot value, so what you're typing in dot length is less than the minimum characters, which we'll set down below in just a second. Curly brackets. If this is less than the min, I want you to show error, and I want you to put the input, comma, and then backticks, $, curly braces, get field name, and I want you to say that input, basically, so it'll be either name, email, or password, and or for this example, it's just gonna be name right now, must be at least, and then we're gonna have $, curly brackets, min, characters, and then go outside and semicolon. So basically, they have here. So basically, saying if whatever you type in is less than the minimum value that we will provide in just a second, then get field name, which again would be the down here. So for this one, name must be at least, and it's gonna say, let's say like 8 characters. And then let's go to, let's see here, else if input dot value dot length is greater than max, curly braces, we're gonna say show error of input, comma, then backticks. And let me just copy this to save us some time. Command C, and basically Command V here, must be less than, and then we have max characters, and then else show valid, which would be the green, and then input. So now we need to go down to our event listener down here and basically add that function. So we have the check length, and then parentheses, and basically we're gonna have the input, so we're targeting the name for this one, and then we're gonna say the minimum. So again, this one right here, min, will be 3. I'll put 3, you can literally put whatever you want, and then maximum I'll just put like 30. And now let's create another one for the let me see, make sure, check length, parentheses, for the password, and I want this to say 8, and then 25 is the max. And then I'm gonna just copy this down again. All right, so just Command Alt down arrow. Oh no, yeah, Alt Shift down arrow to copy it like I did. And then let's do password confirm. And then the last thing we want to do is create a function for password match to make sure that the passwords are actually the same. So this one's pretty simple. Basically, we'll do password match, parentheses, password, comma, and then password confirm. And now we have to just create that function. So let's go up back here. Let me go under the input length. Let's do check passwords match. And basically I'm gonna say function password match. I'm gonna make it input 1, comma, and then input 2. And pretty much here, if input 1 dot value exclamation mark equal. So if it does not equal input 2 dot value curly braces, you want to show error, and then only show this for input 2, which would be the password confirm, and say passwords do not match. So now everything worked out well. Let's go here and let's check everything out. So again, name must be at least 3 characters. Email is required. Passwords must be at least 8, and password must be at least 8. So let's go ahead and let's do 3. Check it, turns green. Let's see, gmail.com, green, and then password. Let's do hey and see if see the password doesn't match. Hey here, and then it's gonna say it must be at least 8 characters. So let's do hey, and then boom, everything works out. So now if we go back to the home page, click on our button. Let's actually refresh this. So we click here, click it, sign up. It's gonna say everything here. Just type stuff in. Sign up, and then when we shrink it, disappears, mobile responsive, and then boom, here we go. Check it again. It's like this. So this completes the email sign up form pop-up modal. So if you did enjoy this video, then definitely give it a thumbs up. And also, if you want to watch the previous tutorials, make sure you go down in the description or just check out my channel and subscribe down below so you can see my future videos as I document myself learning how to code. So right now, this is part 3, but basically I'm just building a site from scratch, and I'm just documenting each section as I do it and teaching you exactly how I did it so that you can go ahead and learn what I'm doing. So in case anyone out there is expert or much more, I say, experience in development, definitely let me know any ways to optimize the code or just any thoughts on it. And aside from that, again, if you have not already, go down below, subscribe if you have not. Comment down any thoughts, what you thought of the video, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Peace.